say when there are no words. Feel a song that's never been heard. How do you know when you hear the call? What do you do when you've done it all? Cannonball, 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 cannonball. It's not what you do, it's how you do. Be anything you want to be. It's not what you got, it's how you use it. You be you and I'll be me, it's just a matter of style. You can't fake it, mile after mile, feeling free. If you got the soul, you can make it. Move 'em out, let 'em roll, from sea to shining sea. Ball, cannonball. What do you do when the mountain is there? How do you answer the challenging dare? And when your back's against the wall, what do you do when you've done it all? Cannonball, 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 cannonball. It's not what you do, it's how you do. Be anything you want to be. It's not what you got, it's how you use it. You be you and I'll be me, it's just a matter of style. You can't fake it, mile after mile, feeling free. If you got the soul, you can make it. Move 'em out, let 'em roll, from sea to shining sea. Cannonball. Hey, now cannonball. 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 Cannonball.
Yes, indeed. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers, and sisters. This is the Apex Online Racing GT3 League Season 11, round number 6, here at Sakitto in Japan. My name is King-Kodiak, and I'll be one of your commentators throughout this evening's race. Joining me in the commentary Joining me in the commentary box and in control of the cameras, it is the Lord God himself. It is Yorkie.
Hello, welcome once again to another stream. Going to be another fun, interesting, and exciting race. Very much looking forward to this one, and it's nice to have you back again, King-Kodiak. Although I do also miss Fizzy as well.
It's a great pleasure to be back in the combots for Tier 1. Those wondering where Fizzy is, he's had a visit, or has a visit from his brother, so he doesn't have a private space to commentate. So he's handed the reins over to me. We have got 20, or we've had 25, it's now down to 23 already. 23 drivers joining us for this Japanese track, this driver's favourite, absolute classic, known by many fan of motor racing. I am looking forward to this. What are we thinking? What's going to be favourable here? I'm wondering whether the Lamborghinis are going to have such a good time here.
It will be interesting to see, yeah. I'm not entirely sure. I think the Lamborghinis might actually be quite good here, because it's actually it's an interesting track for downforce, because the first section is quite suited to having a high downforce setup, and then the second and third sectors are quite a bit more sweepy and more top speed based, as we see Villabos coming through the final turn, through the long sweeper, and he'll be the first person to start a qualifying lap here in this 10-minute qualifying session. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how well the Lamborghinis perform. especially in comparison to some of the other cars. I think the majority of cars in the grid are actually quite evenly paced in terms of straight line speed. There's nothing that like really properly stands out heads and shoulders above the rest.
Awesome. So we are indeed watching SRI Villalobos coming through the S's, then heading up the hill through Dunlop Curve, heading towards the Degners, on board on the nose of the roaring Z4. Now, I will ask chat if to highlight any particular problems that may come up. My rig was upgraded over the weekend, and this is the first Project Cars 2 stream I have done since. So do please point out if the stream suddenly dies or any particular problems. Hopefully not. The testing I've done has not come up with any problems so far. Villalobos then heading towards Spoon, then a little bit. Can we get the speedo up, please, Mr. Yorkie?
We can indeed.
Thanking you. Now, again, as a reminder, I run in miles an hour. That's what we use over here in the UK, and I never remember to change it to kilometres an hour. On the back straight, then heading towards 130R, far over to the right-hand side. Foot absolutely nailed to the floor. Then he's going to throw that in. Doesn't even scrub any speed off. Very nicely done. Then through the sweeping part, well, will be the Cassian Triangle, but that's not run in this version of the track. And let's see what he's got. Dalking and Typek with times on the board. 2:04.5 being the current top time. What does Villalobos do? A 1:40.6. So I was just thinking that even I can beat a 2-minute lap time, so something's gone on there. And Jardier, 81 thousandths behind the Z4 in the Lemon Lambo. With Deheidi jumping in right behind him. What's Deheidi running? Because he's changed car, isn't he? He's in the caddy. An interesting choice, but there we go. Scott has jumped into third place. No, it's Van Ommen straight into the 139s and straight back to pits as well. Oh, who's CJB now? Of course, CJB MX702. Of course, I'm not familiar with all of these names. I tend to be in tier 2 for this particular season. So Villalobos with that already impressive time down to third. Jardier fourth. Leon the Sick One into fifth position with a 1:43.77 in the Lamborghini Bow in his distinctive white Mercedes. Currently now 7 because Dalking has just jumped up to the top spot. 1:39.687 in the... Oh, okay, that was determined through the first turn. T-Mac, where is he? Where does he find himself? 8th position in the black and orange Lamborghini at the moment. Nagran, 9th in the red and black Lambo. The Lambo is, of course, still the highly represented mark of the season. That was a Bentley that just went through the shot.
Yes, it was. Scott.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that. One of my favourite engine roars is the Bentley. I make no apology for that. How can you not enjoy that? How can you not enjoy that? So Scott was in a Mercedes last season. Interesting to see he's gone for the British Brute. Oh, look at that. Van Ommen's jumped up to second. 54 thousandths behind Dalking. Wow, that is close.
Yeah, it was all very tight there at the top. Jardier's being knocked down the field a little bit. He's down to 5th now, with the guys improving and setting time slightly quicker than him. CJB is actually, he's missed a couple of races this season, but his last performance last week where were we last week? We're at Dubai GP. He got 2nd place in that race and was leading for a good portion of it as well. So
wow,
he certainly has the pace to challenge Jardier and be up there at the front. So it'd be good to keep an eye out on him during the race. Just kind of looking to see what some of the... That was very sideways by the Cadillac. Cadillac did actually end up going into the wall. Where are you, Heidi, sir? There you are. You're now back in the garage and driving back out. And all the cars are really heavily damaged for me. I think it's because I accidentally alt-tabbed out temporarily of the game and I came back in when we were on board with Villalobos.
Yeah, it must have been because everyone seems quite clean at the moment. That Ginetta is... Yeah, he's running the Ginetta this time. He's the guest driver for this season. He's driven... He did Silverstone in Tier 2. He's done a few races in Tier 1. But he's running the Ginetta this time, just to kind of see how it stacks up. He was... there was rumour that he was going to, either between him and De Heide, were going to sort of look to try and like test how the Ferrari sits, but I guess that was not given the green light. And oh, look at the top, the top three within a tenth. Dalking with 139.687, CJB 18 thousandths behind, Van Omen 54 thousandths. Oh yes, I'll have some of this. It's going to be driving this race, 1 hour race long here at Sakitto, and already we're under 2.5 minutes left of quali.
Yep, not long to go. I was going to say CJB has just popped himself between Dalking and Mr. Van Orman there with that time. Jardier is somewhere out on track. I believe that he's probably on a flying lap at the moment as he comes through the second part of those ignoresses before going left in the two. This very fast sweeping hander that goes up the hill and kind of the car goes light as it goes over the crest there. Doesn't seem like there was any issues for Jardier as he's pressing on, looking to try and better his current lap time. Coming through, jump on board with him as he comes down the hill past the lake there on the right hand side, as you can see. And this is the alternate start finish line for a couple of the other variations that we have here at Sakitto before coming into the very fast sweeping left-hander here that resembles 130R somewhat before coming into a completely flat-out final turn that drops down over the hill. Avoid those curves on the inside.
Oh, get the nose to turn in!
Yeah, it's coming across the line now. What time is he going to set?
He improved in time. He improved in time, but not position. 139.9. He's still in fifth, and he's dropped. He's thrown it in the wall. So Jardier will start no higher than fifth place, as we have less than a minute to go. So anyone that isn't out there will not have time to get an outlap done and get on a time lap. Anyone that is on a time lap will have a chance to finish it, and anyone wishing to start one has got 45 seconds in order to get their time lap started. Dalking is in the pits. He will not improve from where he stands. That is how the timings currently sit. That's 139.687 still our pole time. CJB coming out of Spoon Curve onto the back straight, heading towards 130R. Who's ahead of him? That's Andrex in the Ginetta, getting out of the way. Should just about make it. Flat out then through 130R. We actually saw when we were riding on board with Jardier this sweeping section. Oh, and you saw the tail just go light there. It can be a bit of a wrestle to just get the nose to bite through that particular section. What does CJB do? Does he improve? He does not. He remains in second, but he does have time to complete that lap if he's got the fuel, and he looks pretty determined coming into turn one. Wow, that Lambo looks very lively under braking.
Yep.
Oh, he's jumped back to the pits.
Yeah, he's given up, but Mr. Van Orman is on a flying lap at the moment. He's just come through the first sector and into the second sector now, so it'll be interesting to see if he can pop himself up any more positions. It looks like that Leon, the sick one, has managed to get himself up ahead of Jardier. He's now up in fifth position, dropping Jardier down into sixth. We've also got Benazili, who is also on the lap. He's actually going to be coming across the line before Mr. Van Orman will. So we'll ride with him as he comes towards the last two turns. Just coming up towards the very fast left-hander now, chucking it in. Nice, smooth line. And it's all going to be about how he approaches this final turn. Can he keep a good steering radius? You can see the car having a slight little bit of a wiggle, but that seems like a good line to me as he's coming down to the start-finish line. Will he improve on his lap time? He does, but not for position. So Benazili securing 7th place. Mr. Van Orman coming through the final turn now, and he'll be coming across the line, hoping to get himself up into 2nd or 1st place. Will he do it?
Answer is he does. He gets the pole time by 7 thousandths of a second. Oh, wow. Well played. 139.680. Is T-Max still out there? Is he? He just crossed the line.
Was.
Oh, we didn't see how he did, but whoa, it is close. Van Orman then taking the pole time, 139.680. Dalking 2, CJB 3, Villa Lobos 4, Leon 5, Jardier down in 6th. Benazili 7, Rodders 8, Bo 9, Nagram rounding out the top 10. The only car to break that Lambo dominance is indeed Villa Lobos in the Z4. Then it's That's true. Yeah, Bo's in the I forgot Bo was in the Merc. Nagram 10, T-Mac 11, Dakuza 12, Dahaidi 13th in the Caddy, Gamasuki 14, Typek 15, Lewis T 16, Scott 17, Adalexis 18, JK 19, Andrex in the what was he in again? He was in the Janetta towards the tail in 20th. Then it is 2 Desert Pack in the Audi 21, Shooter in the M6 22, and Zal at the tail of the field in the one and only Porsche.
Excellent. So we're just doing our usual 2-minute preparation period where the guys will just double check their setups, make sure that they've got the right setup actually applied to their car, and also have their pit strategies sorted for any pit work that they want done in their mandatory pit stop that they will need to take in this race. And once those 2 minutes are up, potentially sooner than that, we will be underway with our manual formation rolling start lap.
Indeed. So when this 2-minute period has elapsed, or when everybody has readied up, Van Almen will, once the 5 lights have gone out, Van Almen will lead the pack at 80 kilometers an hour. Beg your pardon, 120 kilometers an hour, 80 miles an hour, through until sector 3. That is soon after Spoon Curve, and then the 2x2 line will be reformed where the speed is reduced to 50 miles an hour, 80 kilometers an hour, till they get back to the start finish straight past that sweeping bend that replaces the Casio Triangle. And then it is any point from the acceleration zone, which is essentially the beginning of the wall you can see on the right hand side. At that point, Van Almen can floor it to signify the beginning of the race.
Yep. And we should be getting underway relatively shortly. It's interesting to see we've actually got Zhao in a Porsche. I can't quite remember if he started the season in that car. I haven't really seen too much of Zhao on the last few previous races. But it's good to see a little bit of variety on the grid. And he's also picked a rather nice livery as well. So here we go then with the start of our manual formation lap.
I was going to say someone has floored it at this point. I mean, engine damage is on. That's not going to help. But I did think, please tell me someone hasn't forgotten that I've been on a grid where someone's done that and nearly flown into the back of me. And it's kind of one of those bracing moments where you're sat still because you're supposed to be, and someone's just dropped it into first gear and flown off the line, but the grid stationary. So this is one of those very worrying moments that to be going through, but everybody seems to be okay. No one actually flew off the line before they should have done. Now coming through the S's, yeah, not too much weaving going on. I'm not really surprised through that particular section.
Yeah, I think this is one of those races where tyre wear will be key. The first sector is going to wear out the tyres quite heavily, but the very fast sweeping corners that we have, such as this one here as well, where it's so long, it just puts such high load through the tyres, and it just tears them apart. So tyre wear is going to be very, very high at this track. So
there's a flying cone in there.
I believe the drivers may potentially end up making a change of tyres in their pit stop. Potentially, I'm not 100% sure. I haven't had that confirmed. But I believe there's a possibility.
That'll be the first time in the season we've had that, because generally they come in just to have the pit stop served, or if it's severe damage, they may get that. But generally, the drivers haven't changed their tyres, if I understand that correctly.
Yeah, it entirely depends on how hot the track actually is out there. It looks kind of to me like it's summer conditions, so the track temperature probably will be quite high, so I imagine they are on the hard tyre. But if the track temperature is high, that's also going to have an impact on the amount of tyre wear as well. If they're on the soft tyre, then yeah, they'll absolutely tear the tyres to shreds. But the guys are also on accelerated tyre wear as well, so yeah, I think the tyre will probably just about hold out the full length of the race, but it'll be difficult at a track like this.
They'll be pretty much threadbare by the time they get to the end of the race, I'd have thought. But you never know. We'll see how our drivers do. Coming through 130R. The 2x2 line reformed, as you can see. The odd numbers on the right, evens on the left. On board with Leon. See the M4 on the left of Villalobos. And directly ahead is CJB. And the white and pink Lambo of Dalking. Great effort from him. And of course that stunning effort from Van Ommen put him on the top spot. So at any point you can see where the pit wall starts there. We're now in the acceleration zone. So at any point from here... Oh, beg your pardon, is that over? That's that bridge bit over there now. Van Ommen can floor it to signify the beginning of the race. Everyone's itching, particularly CJB. He really wants to get on with it. Oh, Van Ommen's taking his time. And there he goes. We are racing in Sakitto. CJB's had a great start. Dalking's caught a little bit napping. Villalobos goes to the outside to try and make a move there. You see the green Lambo coming through. That is, I think... Oh, who's that? That was Leon.
The second one.
Yeah, it's indeed. Everybody seems to be doing okay. No one's flown off the road just yet. There's Rodders with Bo directly ahead. Everyone seems to be behaving themselves. No one off onto the dust. Everyone's made it through. So far, so good.
Yep, they're riding on board with Rodders at the moment, down in the low position, getting a nice action shot here with the guys as they sweep through this first sector. This is where the track starts to open up a little bit more. We've got a couple of reasonable heavy braking zones just coming up. This one very, very short. You just literally just chuck the car into this first part and then braking it a little bit harder for this second. Doesn't really seem like there's been too many position changes as of yet, however. Guys starting to spread out just a little bit as we see Nagrom actually going side by side with the Cadillac. That's very, very close. That's going to give Scott. Oh, we got spinning. I believe that's T-Mac. That has just had a spin. Seems like the guys have managed to get through without making contact with him. Has picked up Lusty, who's going around the outside of 2 Desert Pack in the Audi R8 there. It looks like he may have the position actually done, but he's got JK there immediately in front of him as well. A couple of guys at the back here going side by side, battling for position.
Yeah, it is all going off everywhere as you would imagine at this early stage. On board with Lusty, staring at the back of who's he staring on the back of JK? There is 2 Desert Pack right in that slipstream. The M6 going a bit deep into 130Rs. Oh no! Big problem there for one of the Lambos. We've got people coming into the pits, so people either getting their pit stop out of the way. Oh, actually, several cars coming in.
That's Jardier, one of them.
Yeah, Jardier, Leon, Bo, and Rodders all coming in. The cars look okay as people killing pit crews. They look all right, so I don't know. There was a couple of penalties there by CJB, Villalobos, and Jardier. That's a pit lane speed limit penalty. That one won't be. Oh wow! And then Adalexis, Gamasuki, T-Mac, we saw have that problem, so he may well have had some damage. A lot of people getting in the pits early on. There is Gamasuki. And there's Rodders getting underway. It's a really odd angle. I thought the pit lane at least would be flat, but seemingly not. T-Mac then getting into position. There goes Villalobos. Jardier then out in 19th place, but of course he's now served his mandatory pit stop. It's a risk serving it that early, but we've seen it done before. We've seen DeHeide put that to very good use last season when he was running the Z4, but we'll have to see. Scott in 8th position, then right behind the aforementioned DeHeide. Now with that is Dakuza in short succession directly behind him. The top guys roughly in the positions that we left them in, on board or on the roof of the roaring Bentley. Then I'm noticing a lot of the cars are very, very fidgety, so that is going to be interesting, particularly if tyre wear is going to be a problem.
Yep, certainly, and they want to avoid as much of that moving around as possible because that's just going to add to the tyre wear. It's interesting that a number of guys have pitted early. Obviously, they haven't taken tyres because if they were going to take tyres at this point, it's they got a very long way to go in the race on that one set of tyres. We've got Dakuza in the pit lane as well. Yep.
Yeah, we've lost one already. One of our early pitters has gone. Shooter and Nagram bringing their cars in as well. I'm trying to identify who it is that we've lost. I'm never really good at doing that. Such a terrible memory of the best of times. CJB still on the back of Dalking. Then that's so the white and pink Lambo did indeed get up to second position. Van Ommen hasn't been able to stretch off too far into the distance, but to be fair, he's got that 1.5 second lead. You can just see him going through the darkness. There is the bright yellow Lamborghini. CJB had a terrible lap last time. He lost 4 seconds. And Jardier is... Jardier had a penalty before. Sorry, I just saw his name pop up and it popped up red. But of course he had that 10-second penalty for too much speed in the pit lane. He will not be happy about that. Now coming through, heading towards Spoon. CJB keeping the pressure on Dow King. It's one of these things. It's a long way to go. Do you pressure early on to try and get the track position, or do you just kind of sit back and take your time? Wow, Van Almen is having a great old time there. Villalobos with Benazili in short succession. And Zal's got his name on the penalty board now in 13th place in our Porsche. That's a 2-second penalty for him. So this track is catching a lot of people out, but it is a very technical track, so it's not entirely surprising.
Yeah, there's a couple of places where you can kind of use the grass a little bit to your advantage. I think it's going to be turn 3 is probably that main point where the drivers like to take a little bit off the inside, and obviously if you catch a little bit too much there, you could end up with a slowdown. This is the turn 3 that we are just approaching there now. You can see a couple of the guys just in front of us, Dow King and Mr. Van Orman, dipping their wheels onto the grass, and that's actually pulling the dirt and dust onto the circuit as well. You can start to see that starting to form on the track. As the race continues, that is going to build up even more. That's going to make that section of the track very, very slippery, and that's going to be an interesting factor for the drivers to contend and deal with as well.
Yeah, absolutely. CJB staying in at striking distance of Dow King. There is Scott now in at 7th position, chasing Typek in the bright green Lambo, coming under the bridge, then into the cut through. You just saw Benazili go out of the shot. Over the crest, then coming through the right-hander, heading towards Spoon once again. 2.5 seconds behind Scott is JK. There's definitely going to be very much a race of patience, this one. There's not an awful lot of major braking zones, no massive overtaking opportunities. So this is definitely going to be a race that tests those that can just keep the pressure on and force the mistake more than those that just go for the mighty moves under braking. Andrex now in 11th, behind Lusty in the M6. That's 2 Desert Pack you can see just ahead. So there's battles still to do. Oh, flash of the lights there. Now they were talking in Discord actually that an indication that you were about to pit, announce it on Discord and flash of the light. You see Andrex has backed off. I would imagine the M6 is about to come in. And there he goes, along with the Audi just ahead. It actually looked like Lusty was nearly about to pile into the back of the Audi there. Such is the nature of the pit lane entry. It's right on the racing line, so if you're unaware, you will catch somebody out. Scott has also come in the Bentley. You can hear him roaring away. There he goes. So short stop for him. So that's what the flash of lights was for. Is anyone nearby to indicate to them, I am coming in, don't be too close. And there is Scott going to reappear. Jardier going to go through into 11th. And the Bentley slots behind him, just ahead of that battle there. That was Deheidi and Dakuza, I beg your pardon. Oh, wow! That's one way to do it. And he kept it going.
I think that was more lag than Dakuza actually getting that much of a slide and that much of a tank slapper on. But
it was impressive.
It was very impressive. And I think there probably was a little bit of a slide there for Dakuza. So very well held to you, sir. Well done on holding.
That is not a Red Bull, sir. Although fair play for holding that. That was brilliantly done.
Yeah, definitely. But I was going to say, Scott has actually benefited from the Heidi and Dakuza pitting earlier, because he was between the two drivers previously, and now he's actually jumped out, and is about 1.5 seconds over the Heidi now, and relatively close to the back of Jardier as well. I think Jardier has lost a lot of time in his pit stop. He's quite far back from Leon the Sick One, and Leon the Sick One and Jardier were relatively close just before the pit stop.
There's what, 6 seconds or so between them, isn't there?
Yeah,
indeed. Yeah, 6 seconds there, 9 seconds between Leon and Zal. It's interesting. I'm surprised the field is actually as spread out as it is so early on. That's quite unusual.
This isn't so spread out though. Nagro onto the back of Lusty, and just a couple of car lengths behind as we come up the hill towards the 130 up, past the Ferris wheel there on the right hand side. As we go through, Nagron backing off a little bit low. That's Lusty going round and into the wall. That's going to be a big impact for him. Hopefully he can get himself back and underway, and hopefully he hasn't sustained too much damage from that. But I'm pretty sure that his car's going to be feeling a little bit more worse for wear as it's at the Lexus, I believe. Yep, coming through. Yeah, Lusty going straight to the pits to repair any damage that he picked up there. That was very unfortunate.
That was a shame, just a little bit too wide, and found less traction out there on the rumble strip, and round he went. Gamasuki chasing 2 Desert Pack in the Audis coming through turn 1. There's so much sideways going on, and not all of it very successfully, as we've already seen. And we're only on lap 7 of this race then, as the 2 Audis then come into the S's. Oh, someone either found neutral or missed a gear. There was a sudden lot of revving there. You don't really want to be revving too hard through the S's. You certainly don't want to be spinning the wheels. Now on the exit there, heading towards the Dagners. Gamasuki kind of minding his own business there, but Tupac will be well aware that he's there. Into the Dagners. 2 Audis. Of course one's a Lambo. I should have recognised the engine tone. What am I talking about? I don't comment.
They've both pretty much got the same tone. Same engine.
They're both screaming, that is true.
Yeah, it's just a different exhaust layout.
Through the... I think that's actually called 200R, that turn 12. I've seen a map with it referred to as 200R. Through Spoon. The Lambo getting very close then to the back of 2 Desert Pack. Onto the old start finish straight. And still maintains about 0.6 of a second between the two, so a decent exit for the Audi through Spoon. Gamasuki just gaining a tiny bit. Throws it in to 130R. The Lambo's had a very good run through there. That's going to put all the pressure on the Audi. No indication that 2 Des is coming in. He probably already has been in. And is Gamasuki going to have a look on the outside? 2 Des goes to the inside to try and defend. The Lambo going for the outside through the double right-hander of turn 1. That is going to be brave if he could pull that off. He's nosed ahead. 2 Des is still there, and he's got it done before they get to the second part of the first turn. Brilliantly done by the Lamborghini.
Yep, very, very good driving, and something to actually note that I picked up on the previous lap. Look at the amount of dirt and dust and gravel that's building up along here through this section of the corners. We're only 8 laps into a 36-lap race, and it's already pretty dirty through those section, or that section there. That's only going to get worse as the race continues on, but fantastic move by Gamasuki to take that 18th position away from 2 Desert Pack. I imagine 2 Desert Pack is going to be trying to pressurise and see if he can regain the position. DeHeidi is closing up on towards the back of Scott. He's managed to pull away from Dakusa. Dakusa's actually dropped all the way down to the back of the grid.
Yeah, Dakusa... Oh dear, that'll be right.
He did have the... Yeah, he's got a lot of damage to the front of his car, but he's pretty close to the back of Zhao, but I think he's actually a lap down. Zhao is...
9th.
Where's Zhao? Good point, 9th.
Yeah, he's in 9th, so... I mean, he will, if he's quick enough, he is allowed to unlap himself, but he must not hinder the car that he's trying to unlap himself from. Yeah, you were mentioning the kind of dirt effect. Now, pre-upgrade on my rig, I haven't been used to seeing that visual effect. So, because I'd have to put my graphics settings through the floor. Now I'm actually able to see that. Yeah, the S section, the track is looking very, very kind of dusty brown. It's going to be it's going to turn very much into a rallycross. And there it is again. You can really see that very distinct brown, dusty line then on exactly where the cars want there to be traction, and that's not going to help them at all. Rodders staying within striking distance of Nagran, 3.5 seconds ahead of Shooter in 15th position. Oh, I'll tell you who might be under a bit of pressure pretty soon. I'm looking at the lap times up front. It's, well spotted. It is Van Ommen. There's the lead. That has come down a little bit. Within the same 10th of a second. 41.7s being set, and only being set by our lead pair of Lamborghinis. So fair effort then from Van Ommen and from Dalking to maintain that. So where is Chardier? Actually, Chardier is in the 41.9, Leon 41.8, as JK brings his car in from 7th place. So we're seeing decent pace, but the only ones in the 41.7s are... Oh, Benazili has managed a 41.7.
CJB's in a 41.6.
Oh, 41.6,
so he's actually won a little bit quicker than those two guys. Leon, the 6th one's actually done a 41.8 as well. He's actually closing up on the back of Zhao, and Dakusa has managed to get past Zhao now. Yeah, he's unlapped himself without doing a knock-on and has managed to do it cleanly.
Indeed. And Leon right under the rear wing of the Porsche now. JK's going to come out around about 13th place. So it's dropped him down at fairway, but that is the nature of the beast. And this is one of these really awkward moments where you've got the pace but nowhere to use it. But you can see Zal just, whether that's the effect of the... Oh, and there you go. He just understeered completely off, catching a big bit of dirt there. And just nothing for the tyres to grip and just understeered straight out of the way of the Lamborghini. So Leon there now up to 8th place. He's got another 10 seconds to gain before he finds Andrex in the Ginetta. But wow, and already 1.6, 1.8. Now 2 seconds between himself and Zal. Zal seems to be really struggling in the Porsche today.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way. I think there was an element of actually Zal just giving the position to Leon the sick one as well, knowing that he's a faster driver and is fighting at the top or sharper end of the field. Just having a look for some of the battles. The Heidi is still hanging there onto the back of Scott, and there's Nagrom actually very close to the back of JK, and Rodders isn't too far behind either. So we shall watch this one a bit and see how this three-way fight unfolds over the next lap or so.
Indeed, JK under a lot of pressure then, holding on to that 13th place in the Audi. Out of Spoon Curve along the old start-finish straight. The Audi is really going to have to think about where he's going to position himself. Zal brings his Porsche in from 9th position. Through 130R come the three cars, Audi, Lambo, Mercedes. Streaming on down through the Casio Triangle. Oh, I think Nagram may have had to get out of that because he's gone very wide. The Mercedes has got a good run on him in the form of Rodders. JK's been given a bit of breathing space. But no passing attempt then from the Mercedes. The Lambo did not get quite as good a run. That's very wide. It's so easy to do. And, he's hit the wall. He's hit the wall sideways, so it may not be too bad, but that's still going to hurt a bit. There goes Shooter in the yellow M6. It is so easy to do, just to go that little bit too quick into turn one, and then there's a fair amount of runoff there, but you're hitting it so fast that you'll find the wall pretty quickly.
Yeah, it was just a very unfortunate tank slapper there that Nagrom had. So that has unleashed Rodders to chase down JK in front of him. And the only other people who are relatively close is Gomisuk and Zal. So Zal he's dropped way down now after being past. Yes, point. Zal's now dropped back down to the lower points positions. Up there in 18th, but he has made positions off the start.
Because he was last.
At the very back of the field, yeah. So, good effort by him so far.
Oh, Jardier, 141.3 there in 9th place. So, that's a fair effort there. That's our lead pair, Dalking and Van Orman. Our top 5 cars, all 141, mid 141s. 41.6, 41.5, 41.5, 41.8, 41.7 from Van Orman to Benizili. And the only other 41s are 41.9 for Leon, 41.6 for Jardier, was 41.3 last time around. So still quite a few people with quite a lot of pace to find. Van Orman, again, when you're a driver that's got someone that's fairly close to you, you can't just ignore them. It might be very easy just to... you have got to concentrate on your own lines, of course, but it's very easy to kind of forget that there is someone in striking range. And again, one mistake from Van Orman, and he will definitely have Dalking to really deal with. Rodders on the back of JK now. And just look how twitchy that Audi is. Just no grip through that section for him to find. Oh, and tail of the Mercedes then getting lively as well. Quite a few people getting very sideways at various points, mainly through Sector 1, which is the twistiest part of the circuit. Wow, they Audi very sideways then on the second deck then, now into the cut through. The uphill then over the crest. Car goes very light, but they're still fairly straight at that point. Now coming through turn 12, Rodders, he's gaining a little bit on the Audi. Not going to be close enough to make a move into Spoon. It's not a big enough braking zone there. And again, you can just see how the Audi's getting really sideways under braking. Now through. And Rodders has definitely gained through Spoon Curve. Now to the old start finish straight. JK's had a decent exit, but Rodders has had a better one. Into 130R once again. kicking up a bit of dust. It's not really going to help you. And Rodders didn't get a great run through 130R, but this is where you really need it, and that's very deep for JK. A decent run then for Rodders. Is he going to get the momentum coming into turns 1 and 2? He's having a think about it. He makes himself known. He's still gaining on the Audi. Who's going to be the last of the late breakers? And no, he doesn't go for the move, but he's right under that rear wing. JK's got a lot of work to do to keep that charging Mercedes behind.
Yep, he's very, very close. Getting a decent run there down that back straight and onto the start-finish straight there. You can see the guys clipping the inside grass, which is bringing all this dirt and dust and just adding to it here through this section, as we've been talking about in the last couple of laps. You can also hear it churning away in the tyre wells as well. But Rodders holding on to the back of JK at the moment as he come through the first section. Hopefully he will have a decent run through the next few corners and close up a little bit more to provide some more juicy racing action for us to commentate on. And I'm sure that Rodders will be hoping for that, as well as actually we see CJB is in the pit lane, so he's going to be dropping down through the field. It'll be interesting to see where he comes out in relation to Leon the Sick One and Jardier. I think Jardier has been closing up on Leon the Sick One a little bit on the last couple of laps, as JK we see in front of us getting a little bit wiggly coming out the exit of the spoon curve there. Just giving Rodders a very, very good run, picking up a slipstream now, and JK is actually going defensive. This is going to force Rodders to go to the outside through 130R. This is going to be very brave if he actually goes for the move. He does, and he kind of backs out. Just about tucks in underneath the rear wing of JK there. You can see getting very, very close to the rear bumper. Who's going to get the better line through? Oh, JK clipping the curbs on the inside. That unsettled his car a little bit. That gave the advantage back to Rodders again. But Rodders is once more on the outside, coming down towards turn 1. Will he be able to outbrake and sweep around the outside, or will JK holding up the inside? He's doing that. He's going defensive. This is very, very good racing between the two drivers. Very, very fair and respectable. Both of them managing to survive the 2 turns as well. And JK holds off Rodders for now.
Brilliantly done between the pair of them. Van Orman getting the fastest lap of the race with a 1:41.2 up front, extending his lead by another 7/10. Wow, Dalking has lost about 3 seconds in the last couple of laps. He's made a mistake somewhere, I would think. But Van Orman really now starting to get the hammer down to give himself some breathing space. At Rodders doing everything he possibly can, as Yorkie explained, just that Audi catching the curbs coming through that sweeping section through the Cassia triangle, and the car getting very sideways. Brilliantly defended though through turns 1 and 2. Now back through the cut through. Could be an opportunity then for Rodders. He is gaining once again. And again, good positioning there by JK. Is Rodders going to dive on the inside of Spoon? No, he thinks better of that one. Through the first part of Spoon then. Now the second apex. And Rodders go for a much earlier apex than the Audi. I think that's going to cost him. And there you go. Look how much better the drive was than that JK managed to get than Rodders got. So much, much better drive. And that is going to put pay to Rodders having another attempt. He didn't fancy being sideways again, or side by side coming through 130. Oh! No. An identical problem to what we saw from it was D'Couza that was sideways and straight into the pits, unsurprisingly for the Mercedes. He was almost following the actual tyre marks on the floor to try and copy the move. Just a little bit too wide, no traction out there, and round he went.
Yep, as it's just catching that exit curb on the exit of 130R there just really unsettles the car. Obviously, if the guys are running relatively skinny wings, and they're just all downforce just disappears on the rear and around it goes. So that would have been quite heavy suspension damage, I imagine, for Rodders. I can't really see too much bodywork damage as such on his car there, but I imagine his front suspension is pretty mangled, and that's going to be some costly time for him in the pit stop. Just picking up Andrex here, kind of running a very lonely race in 6th position, as he is yet to make pit stop. He's got Leon the Sick One chasing him down at a rate of 2.5 seconds or so per lap. As Jardier is now up into 8th place, and CJB has actually rejoined the track
behind Jardier and Leon. Yeah, that's an interesting development that has happened there. Oh wow, that was a lot of inside dust going from CJ. There goes Jardier. Now through because you can just see how far along the road that dust has been, the dust and mud and dirt is being deposited, so that is going to cause trouble later on, and that, as we've already seen, has claimed a few victims. That fast section through the Cassian Triangle, down through turns 1 and 2, about 2.5 seconds separating CJB and Jardier through the last time. Look at that. 41.6 from Leon, 41.4 from Jardier, 41.5 from CJB. Very brilliant consistency from that pack there. Both of our leaders, 41.5 from Van Orman and Dalking. Dalking ever so slightly quicker than Orman last time. Villalobos is about 7 seconds behind Dalking. There in the Z. Oh, excuse me. In the Beamer.
Oh.
Yeah, that was what I was aiming for. I hiccuped as I was trying to say it. In the Z4, and also my brain said Z7. I thought, what the hell is a Z7 on his home? Benazili in 4th position, then 8 seconds behind Villalobos in his Lambo. Typek, haven't really seen a great deal of him. There he is in the bright green Lamborghini in 5th place. So this segment of drivers very much on their own. Andrex has already seen in 6th position in the Ginetta. There is Leon, 3.8 behind the Ginetta, 4.5 ahead of Jardier. There is the Lemon Lambo of Jardier. Oh, look at ZJB behind. He's got as a back marker. Yeah, I was just thinking, wow, he's got some company back there. What did? Oh no! Again! Oh, that's not Dakuza again.
Yes, it
that's
is.
Dakuza. Oh no! It was Lusty.
No, Lusty.
Oh no! That seems to be a BMW trap at the moment. And yep, unsurprisingly, straight in. There goes Scott. Scott's in 10th. There's the Heidi in the very distinctive Cadillac. What's the lap times, interestingly? De Heidi 42.3, 42.8 between himself and Scott. So De Heidi closing in a little bit, but he was much closer than that last time we looked at him. So, oops!
And they're much closer now as well.
Yes! As we've lost another from the race, down to 20 now. As Lusty's gone. Lusty's had enough.
That's fair enough.
It would have put him quite a long way last, so didn't fancy being a back marker. 41.3 from Dalking, so he's beginning to close in on the top spot. But Scott's now in awful trouble from the Cadillac. Oh, that was the caddy bouncing off the rev limiter. Oh, not into the Degners. There's no braking zone there. I've seen it done, but it's very risky. Oh, wow. A bit of a nudge there from the Cadillac on the back of the Bentley. The Bentley's a big old beast. I know they weigh very similar amounts, but the Bentley is the size of a barge. So trying to sneak past one is an interesting thing. In the slipstream then, coming through turn 12, is De Heidi going to have a move on the inside of Spoon? He's going to be a brave man. He has a look, but no, doesn't, again, commit to that one. I mean, you really have got to throw it and hope if you're going to try and move into Spoon. Surely it's going to be a run through 130R into turn 1 is going to be the best option for De Heidi. Stays 3/10 or thereabouts behind the Bentley. Both of them having a similar run as Andrex brings in his car from 8th position. Through 130R, not flat through there, but then the cars are still fairly heavy as we are approaching halfway in this race. Well, there they are, 58 litres. That's not what they would have qualified on. And again, both of them following near identical lines through that section. But the Bentley not being comfortable to, he didn't want to risk an attack from the caddy. Goes to that defensive line. De Heidi doesn't go for it. And they remain in what is now 9th and 10th position.
Yep. Sort of a slight lift as well going into the final turn for De Heidi, just trying to hook himself into the apex a little bit better. I think there may be a slight lift from Scott as well, but obviously De Heidi in the Dirtiette would have been more difficult to actually, for him to make the apex and then stay to the inside as well. So just watching him through as once again the Cadillac bouncing off the rev limiter, and it sounded like he had a little bit of inside wheel spin as well, coming through the exit of the curb.
Interesting, he keeps bouncing off the... It's odd that he keeps bouncing off the rev limiter like that. There he is again. Interesting.
He's just probably trying to just absolutely wring the neck of the, the Cadillac, trying to get every single ounce of power.
If anybody can, if anyone can, it's certainly De Heidi. And look at how defensive Scott is going, as there was less than a tenth between them. Oh, and the tail of the Cadillac just got unsettled on the inside of the Spoon there. Didn't Fancy the move, and he's really close. Nearly pushing the Bentley along, which is at strange centres at the best of times. The caddy then just nailed to the back of the Bentley. He's got nowhere to go. Now jumps to the outside. Got nowhere else really to go. And the Gutsy going side by side through 130 armour. Heidi had to back out of that. Otherwise, he was just going to sail off into the distance. Now through this sweeping section, through the Cassia Triangle. Both cars taking that very nicely, but that's given Scott a good few tenths to give him a bit of breathing space. And Heidi was only ever going to be hung out to dry on that move.
Yep. As you say, he was always just going to lose out there, so it would have been better for him to just really tuck in underneath that rear wing and just kind of almost push Scott through the corner. Alas, he did not. However, this is a very, very close battle. Not I had Alexis, I wanted Nagron, because there goes Gamersuk. Past him coming down the start-finish straight. And Nagron being demoted down to 14th place. Just very quickly picked that one up. Let's jump back up to the front and see how things are going on up here. So Mr. Van Orman has got a good 4 seconds to Dowking now. Dowking's going to lose the awful lot of time somewhere along the line, and it wasn't on that previous lap.
No, as he was set, what I think is one of the fastest laps we've seen, 41.221. A few laps ago, he did sort of 43 that put him that far. That was Bo that just went through the shot. Oh, Bo's down in 18th. Of course, it was much further up last time I looked. That's Bo and Shooter in their battle for 17th position. The Mercedes chasing the M6 through the twisty bits, through the S's, through Dunlop. So it's the same battle we've just been seeing, but with 2 different cars. Nearly wandering a bit wide through the Degners. Last time I commented on Suzuka, I was accidentally calling those the Lesmos. It wasn't until after the race for a while into the race I was actually realising what I'd done. Wrong country.
Wrong sides of the globe.
Yeah.
That's as well. But I think I was going to say, it only seems like it's going to be a matter of time before Bo manages to get past Shooter. Seems to be the faster and more consistent of the 2 drivers, and you can see here that Bo is closing up. Don't take a look coming into 130 yard though, just settle in behind, get a good run through here and get a good run through the final turn. You have the slipstream coming down the start finish straight, and you may present yourself with an opportunity coming down into turn 1. However, he is quite far back, but Shooter is moving over there to the right hand side. I don't know whether that's a defensive maneuver or whether he was willing to give the position up to Bo, but it seems like that he isn't.
I'm not convinced that was intended. Yeah, because he's still side by side. It's that one's gonna go to Bo.
He is.
Yeah, I'm not convinced he intended to let that go. That was our race leaders come in.
Yep, he just made his pit stop.
He's on the way out, isn't he? Yep. So he's already done his stop. Dalking now leads by 4.8. De Heidi on the back of Scott still. That battle rages on for 9th position. Van Orman comes out in 5th position. What's the gap between Van Orman and Leon then? It is 3 point, or just about 3.2. When he comes around the corner, you should be able to see Van Orman. There he is. So the front 3. So gap Van Orman to Leon 3.5, roughly the same back to Jardier. Then it's 2.6 to CJB. So that front 4 really have spread out post pit stop. De Heidi continues to pressure the back of that Bentley then for 9th position. It's not commonly where you'd expect to see the Cadillac, but if anybody can wring the neck out of the thing, it is De Heidi. Through turn 2. And here we go again. You're going to get tucked right under that rear wing, but nowhere to use any additional pace he may find.
So I've just been pointed out in the chat by Stevie saying that Darrell King has had a previous lap with a 144, which is the reason why he dropped.
Oh, he did 145 last time, actually.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just about to point out. So Darrell King losing more time. He's going to pop himself out if he pits relatively soon. He's going to pop himself between Jardier and CJB. And we're going side by side with Scott and De Heidi here. De Heidi on the inside. Oh, that's a little bit of contact there between the 2 drivers. I think De Heidi was getting squeezed a little bit by Scott, and then De Heidi just tried to hang it down the inside, but ran a little bit deep, made contact with a 2, but this time, it's good defensive driving there by Scott, giving DeHeide a slight squeeze coming into the first part of Spoon Curve. That's given him the position. A slight little wiggle there from the Bentley coming out of the traction zone, coming down the hill. It looks like that Scott does have a slightly better run than DeHeide though, coming up the straight, but DeHeide will be picking up that slipstream advantage and closing that gap down. Depends what their runs are like coming through here. It seems like that DeHeide has gained a car length on Scott. Scott used the brakes coming into 130R. Coming through here, DeHeide still closing up. Picking up the slipstream now. Scott is going defensive as we come in towards the first turn. Is DeHeide going to be in a position to really challenge? He goes for a slight fake of the move there to the outside. Thinks better of it, so he's going to just tuck in coming through these first 2 turns. He's going to have to follow him through this first sector as well, because there's no real overtaking opportunity through this switchback S section here, unless the driver in front of you makes a pretty drastic error. You can see DeHeide is very, very close to that rear bumper. The Bentley slightly tighter to the apex, coming through the turn there. Doesn't look like he's going to have the run this time that he had on the previous lap to come through side by side through the 2 Degners. So instead, both of them just going to resume their usual racing line, coming underneath the bridge. This is where they had the contact on the previous lap, but this time things are all nice and clean and gravy between those 2. So they now come up towards Spoon Curve, where DeHeide again will be looking for a good run through and try and get a decent exit to really hook into that toe coming down that back straight.
Indeed, Scott's heart must be up in his mouth, because DeHeide has been looming there for so many laps. He's already looking to get alongside the Bentley way before they get to 130R, but again DeHeide finds himself on the outside coming into 130R. Is he going to back off and try and cut underneath the Bentley? See what he does. That was what he went for, but Scott parked that big Bentley on the apex and prevented DeHeide from completing the move. Now coming through the cut through DeHeide. He went too tight. I thought that's what he was going to do, but he manages to hold it, only losing a couple of tenths. Brilliantly defended there by brilliantly handled there by DeHeide, keeping that. That could have gone horribly wrong. Those curbs are pretty vicious if you catch them, and you're catching them at absolutely full crank. So that could have gone very bad for DeHeide, but well held, and yet again that battle continues, only 2 tenths apart.
Yep, very, very close between the 2. Very good positioning by Scott as well on the defense. Hold the 8th position that he currently has. He's doing a very, very good job and providing some great entertainment here for us too, as seeing Bo is closing up to the back of 2 Desert Pack. However, he isn't anywhere near as close as these 2 drivers are, so we will stick with this battle for now, as DeHeide is still there, glued to that rear bumper of Scott, almost pushing him up the hill as we come through that fast left-handed sweeper. That is how close the 2 drivers are.
You could literally strike him. You could have a match on the front of the Cadillac and strike it against the back of the Bentley. They're so close. DeHeide going for a better line on the exit of Spoon, but he didn't get to the outside line quick enough to be able to pull that one off, and that gave Scott just a couple of tenths. But here we go again. DeHeide now not compromised coming into 130R. He is gaining slowly but surely on the Bentley. Both of them taking similar lines. The Bentley's had a very good run though through 130R. And it's going to be through here that's going to be just as crucial. DeHeide really wrestling that caddy through that Cassia triangle, and Scott very nicely handled to come over the line. Another 41.2 up front. Dalking this time. Where is Van Orman? 41.4. So Dalking is leaving his pit stop much later than the rest. There's no particular there's no requirement as to when you take your pit, as long as there's 1 racing lap, I believe, after the pit stops happened. I think that's correct. You can't finish you can't finish the race in the pit lane, basically.
Yeah, that is correct.
You can't pull a Schumacher and finish the race whilst in the pits. So as long as you leave the pit lane and then see the checker flag at least once more, then that's absolutely fine. Look at the lap times, first to 7th. 41.6, 41.9, 41.2 by Benazili. Very nice. 42.1 from Typek, 41.4, 41.3, 41.5. Oh, Van Orman, that's pushing very hard. He wants to get back.
Wide.
Oh, and Typek, it's going to be running very wide, but manages to hang on to that. That turn getting very, very dirty. Through a lot of dust being kicked up there.
Yep, I think Mr. Van Orman could be potentially getting a penalty here for that, because he hasn't backed off anywhere coming down along the straight. Obviously, Typek in front of him is not really battling for position as such, as Mr. Van Orman has made his pit stop. Typek, I believe, hasn't. So I mean, it's more just, he'll just take and absorb that penalty and just try and hold the gap to Leon the sick one, who's behind him. Just coming back to this battle. Oh, Heidi again, catching the curve. Very well held once again, sir. That is what those curves can do to you if you clip them too hard, as King-Kodiak was saying. Just really unsettles the car, so that's going to set him back a number of attempts. So I have to watch and keep an eye on the lap times over the next couple of laps to see if the Heidi does have the pace to actually close back up onto Scott and continue to really mount and pressurize for that 8th position.
We're seeing a lot of people channeling their inner Red Bull. Inner Red Bull, rather. It's, there's a lot of sideways. Oh, Van Orman! Oh, dear. I was expecting Typek to be a bit quicker than that, unless Van Orman's just getting very frustrated. But Typek is perfectly entitled to defend. As you can see, he's gone to the defensive line, and then, now switches back to the racing line. Don't come back over to the left. You've already made your defensive move. Van Orman's going to have the inside for 130. And that was a tiny bit of contact there as Typek tried to maintain the racing line. Van Orman, I think, is getting very, very frustrated, but Typek is perfectly entitled to defend the line. He may well be on a different strategy, but that is still his track position. Van Orman getting a good run. Typek going for a defensive line now, goes back to the racing line, giving Van Orman the inside for the first 2 turns, but we've seen it happen, defending on the outside, coming through the first 2. Bit of door banging going on. Van Orman now up into 4th. He's 15 seconds behind Benazeli in 3rd. I don't think the top 3 have been in yet, so that will shuffle around, and I think it's around about 30 seconds-ish overall loss. So yeah, I was going to say, let's have a look at the penalty count. So 2 for Villalobos, 2 for Van Orman, 10 still for Jardier is our top 3. 3 for De Heidi, 3 for Andrex. That's rare. 2 for Bo, 10 for Rodders, and 50 for D'Couza. That's probably where he's spun a couple of times, hit the wall, and then gone over the green part coming into the pitch, which is highly, it sounds a little unfair, but you're still technically cutting the track, so the game doesn't like you for it. But as he's towards the tail end, I'm not sure he's going to be bringing that one to the stewards.
Yep, one thing to actually point out though as well is the lap times between Mr. Van Orman and Leon the sick one. I don't think Mr. Van Orman did a 1:47 on the previous lap. I think that's just counting the penalty time as well that he would have gained. So it was probably a 1:45, which is still quite surprising because he was basically on the tail of Typek all the way through, and Typek did the 1:43. Either way, he has gone and lost time to Leon the sick one. And one other thing to actually note here as well, there could have been a little bit of team orders there between Leon the sick one and Typek, saying to hold up Mr. Van Orman. So Leon the sick one could actually help close up towards the back of Mr. Van Orman, as both Typek and Leon the sick one are in the same team, as we can see.
Dalking's got himself a penalty, and Villalobos has lost 2nd. What's happened to Villalobos?
He's
lost a massive amount of time. He was in 2nd, and now Benazili has got that position. He's lost a good 5 seconds. Yeah, that is indeed a lap car. I think that's Rodders in the Merc. Oh, to Heidi again on the back of the Bentley. Into turn 1, doesn't clip the curbs this time around. And Scott going very much to the defensive line. Dalking's got his name on the penalty board now. So, that's closed in much quicker than, certainly quicker than I was expecting. I'm sure the Heidi had that much more. Every time cars get close, I kind of go through the whole wincing thing far more than any of our drivers will. I have no doubt about that. As Gamasuki's just gone ahead of Andrex. Oh, that's not a good line for Scott. But all that's really doing is holding up to Heidi. Oh, is Heidi going to have a look at the inside? That would have been very brave. He's forced the Bentley to go wide, but couldn't get the traction where he needed it. Heidi's determined, I'll give him that.
I think someone may have just watched my latest Insider's Guide episode, sticking the nose up the inside of your opponent to try and force them wide and give up the apex. That was what he did. He's going from there as well as Scott just chops his nose off on the inside, saying, "Don't get too cheeky, son. You're not coming through in that corner." Villalobos is coming into the pit lane to make his pit stop. So is Tapek as well, just as his teammate Leon the sick one. I don't actually think they're actually teammates. I think
it's running the same colour.
Yeah, I think they're just running the same colour. I could be wrong though.
But there is Van Orman.
Yeah, Mr. Van Orman and Leon the sick one have the same ACR tag. But we'll jump back to this battle here, because this is where the action is currently. The Heidi has managed to close that distance to Scott, as we've seen, and he's got a better run through the final turn. This time managing to avoid those last sausage curves on the inside. Scott going defensive to the inside. On the run down to the first corner, the Heidi slowly closing up. Not really close enough to really mount a challenge down either side of the Bentley. So once again, he's going to have to hold position in 8th. They have gained a position or two with Tapek making his pit stop, and the same with Andrex as well, as he did that earlier on. So they're now battling for 7th position.
Benazili has got his name on the penalty board as well. De Heidi is so much quicker than the Bentley through the S's, and it's just on the crucial longer parts that De Heidi just cannot get past. There is JK in the Audi, so all the while they've been fighting, they've been losing a good half a second a lap at least to the Audi behind, so that conga line's going to get a little bit longer soon. I thought that was De Heidi flashing his lights there, but that may have been just how it looked to my camera. Now coming through that long turn 12, once again facing Spoon. I'm sure De Heidi could count how many holes are in the rear carbon fibre mesh by now. He's been staring at the tail of the Bentley that long, and he's had, again, a fairly decent run on the exit of Spoon, but so has Scott. But Scott not risking it, going straight to that defensive line. De Heidi getting into the slipstream. Once again, we face a move coming out of 130R potentially from these two as they sweep through. Tiny bit of brakes and a good run then from the Cadillac on the Bentley, but where's he going to be able to use this additional pace? He wants to force the mistake onto the Bentley.
That's a good run.
That is a very good run. Now coming onto the start finish straight, Scott once again going for that defensive line. Who's going to blink first? And De Heidi thinks about trying to go inside of the inside line, but there's just not enough room. And once again, Scott defends, but all the while that's happening, JK is still closing in on them. Although JK actually made a mistake and lost a little bit of time last time around. But again, De Heidi just determined to do something against the Bentley.
Just picking up that kangaroo angle there, it just looks like one car.
Yeah.
Watch these guys, they are that close.
Yeah, De Heidi's actually being towed. He's actually on a tow. He's on a tow line from the Bentley.
Yeah, he's not letting go. JK's actually gone and lost time to these two on the previous lap, almost. A good second and a half or so.
Dalking 140.
Oh, he's really cranked up the pace there then. With that 140.9, as we see on that leaderboard. Still, these guys are by far the closest drivers on track at the moment.
I'd be impressed if anybody could get closer. Oh, and hello, that's very late coming into Spoon. You'll be lucky to hang on to that. I'm not entirely sure that was meant from De Heidi, but manages to keep it on the road still. Now on the exit, there is JK. That's cost them a good 3/10. That behind is indeed Typex, so this could be a 4-car train before too long. Mind you, looking at the lap count, I've just kind of realised we're coming to the closing stage of the race fairly soon. And yet again, these two certainly getting their airtime. And De Heidi trying to get a tighter line through that cut through. It's not going to gain him a great deal unless he's going to really catapult on the inside of turn 1. He is gaining, but not enough to make that a safe move. And here we go again. Lap 30 of 36 for these two. Just 7 left for the Cadillac to do something against that mighty Bentley.
Yeah, that Bentley's certainly got an awful lot of straight line speed under its belt. It's just a very, very torquey car and just wants to pull and pull and pull, whereas the Cadillac seems much, much better suited to the corners in this XS section, and is just really putting himself right up underneath that rear bumper and that rear wing, trying to spy down the diffuser. See if you can see daylight on the other side. He's following through 2 Degner curves. Ooh, taking a good look at the back of that Bentley there. As he's closing right up underneath the rear wing. Almost again, pushing him through. Get that match out, get it striking. I want that flame. Might give the Heidi a little bit of a boost coming down the straight. But again, he's looking slightly to the outside here, trying to switch back underneath. But Scott is wise, and although Scott has actually taken a very defensive line coming into the spoon.
Oh, it's going to cost him.
The Heidi's chance this time.
Yeah.
He's got a much better run. He's forced to go to the outside though. He's pulled out the slipstream early. That's going to set that airflow over the top of the.
Oops!
Oh, there's a little bit of rubbing there between the 2 drivers. Oh, yep. Scott coming out on top in that one. This is going to allow JK actually to continue closing out. Here he comes actually as well. Yeah, so he's now within that second, and this is going to be a 3-car train, and very soon I imagine we'll see Tapak actually closing up to make it 4 cars battling for 7th place.
Yeah, JK is really going to get very interested in this, and that's exactly what Scott wants. He wants to get the pressure off of his tail, and there's the Audi ready to do that. We just in the back of the shot saw Tapak. Whether he'll get involved in this battle, we don't know. Rather depends on how much time these guys cost each other. Again, the Heidi thinking about a move through the S is just making his car obvious in the mirrors, trying to distract Scott.
Could be switching back here.
Well parked there by the Bentley. No room for the caddy to go at the moment. Now coming back towards as Benazili has brought his car in from second, and again. Oh, that's what I was wondering would happen. Well held by Scott there. No real harm done. Whoops, and that was the Heidi catching the apex of that second Degner, but now that Audi's right with him. So it is a 3-car train going on. Tapak is only a few seconds behind. As I'm watching where Benazili is going to reappear. This battle rages on. And again, no change of position, but all the pressure on the shoulders of the Bentley at the moment. Oh, can the Audi have a look on the inside? No, not from there. Everybody in the slipstream there. You see the green Lambo of Tapak in the background as Benazili resumes in 5th position ahead of Villalobos. And again, here we go into 130R. Oh, no! That's exactly...
JK spun as well. Tapak's just going to come through and take all 3 of them.
Is that 3 positions in 1 quarter?
3B.5. The Heidi is doing the right thing though, and waiting for Scott as he fully accepts that the fault was his, but the drivers are going to lose.
Oh, he's retired.
The Heidi is retired. That's very unfortunate. JK's into the pits. Scott is still going though. Scott has Andrex and also
Gamasuki, I think.
Gamasuki for company as well, but Scott, I imagine, is going to have quite a bit of damage to that Bentley.
Oops.
Oh, Andrex, steady on, boy. Get it back on track. Watch out for Nagron come behind you.
Oh, what a shame. I mean, when I saw how close the caddy was getting, that was rather inevitable. There was going to be impact between the two. He kind of waited and then just realised that that had all fallen on his shoulders and called it a day. Now, interestingly, if I'm right and it's a 30-second pit lane loss, Dalking could claim second. Oh, Leon and Jardier are pretty close together.
Yep. Seems like that Leon has lost a good 2.5 seconds on the previous lap, and another second on that lap as well. Possibly market traffic, I'm not entirely sure. But Jardier has certainly turned up the pace and has closed up and wanting to fight for that final podium position. But yeah, depending on how long that pit stop actually is, Dalkin could be in and around this pit stop.
Let's have a quick look at the penalties, because the only person in the top 8 that doesn't have a penalty is actually Leon. 2 for Dalkin, 2 for Van Ommen, none for Leon, 10 for Jardier, so that's going to hurt him. Benazili 2, Villalobos 2, Tapak 10, Gamasuki 2. So yeah, it's all the advantage is still with Leon, it seems. Unless, well, mind you, the gap between Leon and Van Ommen is about 6 seconds, so that penalty is kind of undone anyway. But Jardier is going to lose that. Oh no, beg your pardon, Jardier is actually far enough ahead of Benazili that his 10-second penalty will be meaningless. But of course, even if he does get ahead of Leon, unless Leon falls off the road, that penalty is going to undo that last podium anyway. But I'm still curious on where Dalking's going to reappear. I reckon Dalking's going to come out in second.
Yeah, but he's running out of laps to actually do his pit stop as well. Hopefully he'll remember that and come in ideally on this lap.
It has happened.
It'll have to be the next lap.
It has happened. People have been disqualified for forgetting to pit at the Pro Freestyle or miscalculating where their pit stop is. It has happened before, so we'll see when Dalking brings that one in. JK is in the pit again, unfortunately, in the Audi down there in 15th. Oops, I nudged my mic. Look at that, 41s first to fourth. Benizidi with a 46, so... Or 41.6 actually last time around, so... Jardier and Leon continue their battle. The tail of the bright green Lambo getting very sideways through the S's. They've got 3 to go, beg your pardon. So the race really drawing to a close now. We started with 23, we're down to 16. And only 4 of our drivers don't have penalties. Is that pretty impressive? And there is our leader, Dalking. Is he going to come in? Answer is, well, he's got no one around him to indicate that he's coming in. Yes, he does. Yeah, absolutely the right decision. But it's going to be, where does he reappear?
Did he slow down enough? Though that's
no, he
that's
didn't.
The question.
No, he
didn't.
Yeah,
he got the. I thought he came in a little bit quick because as soon as he came over the line and actually got the limiter, he dropped in revs by a pretty decent amount. So, that's very, very costly for Dalkin. He's going to be kicking himself for that as well, as that's just going to be a whole bunch of positions that he's going to end up losing. So, Mr. Van Orman is going to come through and take the lead. Obviously, he has penalty himself.
That's going to put Dalking in a direct battle with Jardier.
Yep, and
Dalking's coming out.
Going to lose the position to Jardier and Dalking. There they go.
Yeah.
Benazides coming through the final turn, so just over 30 odd seconds, probably about 33, 34 odd seconds. I think was probably the pit stop time, depending on how much work the drivers actually get done to their car, if at all.
Yeah, I was closer. Look at that, Leon, Jardier, Dalking, within a couple of seconds of one another on track. Of course, penalties will completely shuffle them around. But Leon has no penalty to serve. Van Orman still on 2, is he? I think it was just 2 seconds.
I believe so.
Yeah,
yep.
So Van Orman currently safe. He's got 4 seconds to play with. But these 3 Lambos continue to press on now. Jardier will know that the car behind him has a penalty. But Dalking is not close enough. Oh, what a shame for Dalking. He would have easily inherited that 3rd place were it not just for that one momentary lapse of concentration. Unless, of course, these two come together in the last lap and a bit, which we don't want to see. It has happened a few times in this race, as we have observed. There is Andrex. Bo for company. Nagram on the back of Scott.
Scott has managed to get himself back up into 9th.
He has.
I thought he lost more positions than that. No, he did. JK must have pitted.
He did.
He did pit earlier, sorry. So, yeah, Scott hasn't actually lost out too much from that incident yet. He's still holding on. He's only lost 2 positions to Gamersuk and Topak. And he's now got Nagrom all over the rear of his car, and I imagine that Scott's car is very much second-hand with a fair amount of damage to the front of his after hitting the wall. Nagrom's car, however, seems to be pretty clean from what I can see. Just pick up where is our race leader. He's just come through the end of the first sector into sector 2.
Indeed. So once again, Scott finds himself defending from someone. He's been defending all race long. But Jardier continues to chase Leon. Nagram continues to chase Scott. And here comes the Lambo then with a bit of extra pace off the back of the Bentley. Nagram backs off a little bit coming through 130R. Oh, very cautious actually coming through 130R for the Lambo. Maybe he's got some damage on the car that we can't really see from a spectator standpoint. Oh, that's not a good line through that section. That's going to help Scott just maintain that 9th spot, although he's now gaining is the Lambo. Is he going to have a dive on the inside of turn 1? No, he thinks better of that one. Not quite close enough to make that move, but we are on the final lap here at Sakitto.
Yep, and Mr. Van Orman coming through the penultimate turn now. This will be his first win, providing he can keep it on the pavement. Coming through the final turn, which he does. It'll be his first win of the season. He'll be very, very pleased with that and bump himself up a whole bunch of positions in the driver's standings. So Mr. Van Orman takes the win here at Sakitto. Leon the sick one will come home in 2nd place with Jardier just behind. In 3rd, Dowking will come across the line to take 4th position, and he should hold on to that position from Benazili as well. Benazili is just coming across the start-finish line now. Take 5th for Villalobos. Comes home in 6th place.
There's so many people we just haven't looked at.
Yep, these two drivers are actually battling and fighting for position. Scott was actually behind Nagron for a moment, has now actually managed to swap back. Bo's now actually managed to come through and close up on these guys as well. So just very quickly, Tapak will be next across the line. Gamersuk will be afterwards. Then it's Nagron, Bo and Scott who will be the leader of these three.
Nose to tail. Oh, who's going to make a move? Who's going to be last to blink? Just need a good line through this last turn. The Bentley's surely going to have the pace there to take that 9th place for Scott. Nagron 10. Bo had a penalty in 11th, so he would have had to have cleared them by a way. Andrex was put up to 11th because of the penalties in the plucky little Ginetta. And there goes Bo throwing his car off into the wall. Rodders. He's going to lose that 13th to Shooter, I imagine, because of the penalty again. So over the line for the roaring Mercedes. Does Shooter gain the position? Don't know.
Yes.
He did.
I'm pretty sure in a split second we saw the positions actually swap.
So there's your confirmed finishers. Van Orman, so it is actually a ACR 1-2-3 for Van Orman, Leon, Jardier, 4th, Darking, 5, Benazili, 6th, Villalobos, 7, Taipek, 8, Kamasuki, 9 is Scott, 10, Nagram, 11, Andrex, 12, Bo, 13th, he was indeed inherited by Shooter, 14 seconds of penalties for Rodders, 50 by Takusa in 15th, JK way down there in 16th, CJ, what a shame for CJB retiring from what was 2nd for a period of time. We lost quite a few cars, and that is our race concluded. Shall we see who wants to talk to us?
Well, it's the 3 ACR boys. They're all sat there in the ready to interview room already.
Good. Let's get them in. Oh, and Andrex is in there as well. Let's grab them all over. And, Dowking as well. Let's grab him as well. Right. Hello, everybody. Hey!
Howdy.
We've got to talk to our race leader first. Van Orman, you must be a very happy boy.
Finally, it cost me 3 seasons to actually manage to get a win. I'm really happy.
First ever.
Yeah, it was first ever.
AOR.
Wow.
Yeah, well, in this season, in the GT3 leagues, yeah.
What a race. That was absolutely stunning from pole to win.
Yeah.
You must be quite happy with that.
Yeah, I'm really happy. I knew that I had a good setup. First of all, I did some test races with a pretty stable, too stable setup. So I made a few changes. And I think I did, of the 36 laps, maybe 2 laps that were above 141. So it was super steady, consistent. Yeah, well, and basically with that, I guess I won the race. Probably people were faster at some point on the track, but the consistency absolutely won me the race, I think.
You were only off the fastest lap by a 10th, to be fair.
Okay.
So it was very, very close, fastest lap wise. But yeah, great effort, Van Orman. Well done.
Thanks.
Congratulations on the win. Leon, how are you feeling?
Yes. I'm so happy for him, and he's the best, man. So finally got a win. I was so happy.
Thanks, Leon. Thanks. Super.
And we've been talking a lot, me, Jerry, and Omen, like, let's do 1, 2, 3. And this is the first time we've done it, so I'm happy for that as well. And I think both me and Jadder was quite not satisfied with the quali, and we both decided to pit. And it's always so hard to fight from the back because there's traffic and such. And I made 2 mistakes where I got a little bit slowdown, and every slowdown was 5 seconds each. That's why I slowed down so much in the last. Because you just brake and brake and brake, and you literally lose 5 seconds. So I was pissed. I thought I would lose second position because of Dalking, but then I came out in front of him, so I lost hope, but I got second. So I'm happy for 1, 2, 3.
Great stuff. Well done. Well done. Speaking of Dalking,
you doing all right?
hello there to you, sir. Oh, what might have been for you?
Just the inconsistency just keeps bugging me every race. Every race it gets me.
Yeah, but what a race you had up until that one mistake in the pit lane. That was costly. I mean, stunning effort. You must be pretty pleased with the rest of it.
Yeah, definitely. But these lads, they bring it every weekend. You know, they're so quick. I was pushing 100% the whole race. So, best I could have done.
I was afraid of your pace, though, actually.
I think we were so even, I couldn't make no ground up. It was just staying the same, and then I got slowed down, and I fell back quite a bit, like 10 seconds in the end. But what a race, that was so good.
What a race indeed. To our fastest lap holder, Mr. Jardier, you're never too far away from the interviews post-race, are you?
Thank you, yeah.
What happened in quali?
Man, I don't even care about my race. I'm just so happy I'm finally win after 3 seasons. That just made my race. I think I lost my voice on the last 2 laps. Because he just deserved it after all the fucking problems he had in the past 3 seasons. I'm just so happy, man. I'm just so happy. Basically what happened to me, I absolutely haven't prepared for the race, and I think on this racetrack it was very big disaster. In the qualifying I did only like 1 lap proper, and it still was very, very slow of my pace. And then in the start, I've seen like the dirty air was a big issue on this racetrack, and in the first lap I almost lost it because of it. So I decided to pit with Leon as well, and I was a little bit too wide in the pit, and I almost crashed Leon, just went into the wall almost, and got a 10-second penalty there. And then first time after 3 seasons, my engine stalled in a pit, and I lost another like 5-6 seconds. And after that, I was just trying to risk a push, and I was just hoping I will not get any slowdown and any penalties. And I was just like, for the last laps, I was hoping what will be the difference after everybody will take the pit stops. And somehow Dalking probably did the same mistake as I did and got another 10-second penalty. And that made my podium possible because I was expecting at least top 5. And I'm just so happy because we made it top 3 for my teammates. So it's absolutely kingdom race today.
Absolutely great effort to all of you. And finally joining us is Andrex. How were you? Did you have fun in the Ginetta?
It was alright. It was a bit of a quiet race for me, nothing special, but she wasn't driving quite so well tonight. I don't know. Well, maybe it was me. More likely to be me than the car. But I don't know. It's a bit of fun taking what's potentially a silly car, but yeah, it's all good fun.
We saw quite a few people. I saw what you've just put in chat. Want to sell drifty Ginetta setup.
So yeah, it was quite a bit slippery.
Quite a lot of people.
Like understeer. It was a little bit loose at the back end. For my
a lot of people were sideways more often than you'd normally expect from GT3 cars. Was that just a characteristic of the track, or I mean, we did see a lot of dirt being kicked up as well.
The track looked really dirty tonight. I don't know. It looked as if certainly in the first sector, it looked like there was a lot of dirt being kicked up onto the actual racing line on the track. So I don't know if that was scrubbing up the tyres a little bit, but yeah, it didn't feel as planted as it has done in the last couple of little practice runs. But it's the nature of live track. So it was pretty solid. It was good enough.
Well, a solid result nonetheless, Andrex. Well played to you. Any questions from you, Yorkie?
Nope. think you pretty much covered everything.
Awesome. I think it's a good time to wrap it up. Thank you very much to those that have been with us throughout the stream. Great pleasure to commentate for you guys as always. Thank you very much, Yorkie, for tolerating me in your commentary box. A great honour and a pleasure, sir.
That's quite alright. Very much enjoyed it. Obviously, congratulations to the top 3 guys.
Absolutely.
Very solid job by you, and it was a very entertaining race as well. It's just unfortunate. A couple of things turned out the way they did, but very much looking forward to the next final 2-3 rounds.
Indeed. So congratulations to our podium 3, particularly Van Ormond for his first AOR GT3 win, and we will be back next time for more AOR action. Thank you very much, and good night.